What is going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to the next episode of the Three Peaks Fitness Podcast. I'm Coach Mark.
I'm Coach Lynette.
And today we are talking about running shoes and why you shouldn't be wearing them in the gym.
Yes.
We're going to break some parts today.
Right. Yeah. You know, when I first started working out in a gym, this gym specifically, I thought running shoes were an all-purpose shoe that you could just wear everywhere.
Yeah.
To do everything. I thought they were like the default shoe. And I think that's very common for people to think of running shoes as an all-purpose shoe, and you can just work out in it and do whatever you want, go shopping or whatever. But I have learned since then that is not a great idea.
Yeah, unfortunately, running shoes might be like one of the worst types of shoes you can wear in the gym. We're talking about in the gym, strength training, exercising, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there's a few different reasons for that. So the first and biggest one is one of the reasons why running shoes are so comfortable. They got that big cushion, right? The big soles, nice and cushiony.
Got one here, right here. Yeah. That nice big cushiony sole. And I was told for years that you need that.
Yep.
Because when you run, they go, you need that cushion so that when you run, it'll help absorb the shock.
Yeah.
Right. So we don't want this to become a running podcast, but that's not the case.
Right.
Yeah.
So the first reason why that big, thick, cushy sole is a problem when it comes to working out in the gym and strength training is you generate all of your power from the ground. No matter what the movement is, you're generating power from the ground. Yeah. Right. And actually, this isn't even just the gym. This could, like, if you're golfing, baseball play, like
it's
anytime,
physics.
Yeah, it's physics.
This is physics.
Right. The power has to come from somewhere. You're not just in the air and generating power out of nowhere. Right.
Yeah.
So you're generating power through the ground, right, into your legs and to whatever extremity you're doing the exercise with. Now, if you take a big, cushy running shoe sole and place that in between your body and the ground where you're generating the power from, there's going to be all kinds of energy leaks, okay? Yeah. So your movement's going to be extremely inefficient, and on top of that, you run the risk of injury.
Definitely.
Because there's a level of instability there. So, like, let's say you're back squatting, right? You got the barbell on your back, you're doing a squat, and let's say you're going kind of heavy, right? You want to see like, how strong am I? If you're wearing running shoes and you're testing, your maximal strength while also having to maintain a certain level of stability on those cushy soles, you're going to have small muscles in your body doing things they're not designed to do. Yeah. And that's when you can run into injury. That's when you can develop.
That's when you're like, oh, I tweak my knee or my hip.
Yeah.
What's going on with my lower back?
Yep, which happens very frequently.
Your body is very, very smart, and will try to. It can sense that something is off, and other parts of your body will try to compensate. Yeah. So think about a rocket launch or a horse try to jump over an obstacle. Imagine them trying to propel off a giant pillow.
Yeah, that's good.
Would a rocket be able to launch off of a giant pillow? Yeah. No. Right. And a horse could not get anywhere if you put him on a giant pillow. Right. Because it's going to absorb and dissolve all that energy that you're trying. You need a nice connection with the floor to be able to really propel. Yeah.
It's kind of like on a trampoline. Yeah. If you're just not jumping and jumping and jumping, but that first jump. Like if you're just standing on a trampoline and you just try to jump, right? Like a lot of the force is lost. Yeah. Right? Now
you need that stiffness.
Yeah, you need the stiffness to be able to jump up.
Yeah. So you don't want too much cushion because that's gonna mess up all the energy that you need.
Yeah. So the cushion is no bueno. And then the second issue is the arch support.
Yes. All right. We're going to get a lot of people going, what? No. A lot of resistance on this one.
Your feet already come with arch support.
They already have arches in them.
They're built that way.
If you go to an engineering class and they teach you how to build a bridge, they will not tell you to put support in the middle of that arch.
Yeah.
right? If you're building an arched bridge, they're not going to tell you to put anything right in the middle of that arch.
Yeah.
So the way you support an arch is from the sides, right? And so for our foot, that would be the toes and the heel.
Yep.
You don't need anything in between. I was told for years, you need arch supports. I even paid hundreds of dollars for orthotics, and I wore them for years because I thought I needed them. And actually, I did because it created a need. Because I was forcing my feet into these running shoes with the orthotics in them, and the muscles in my feet were getting weaker and weaker. Then I got plantar fasciitis. Then I had knee problems.
Yeah.
And it was all caused because my feet were not allowed to do what they were supposed to be able to do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that the muscles and the tendons, there's a ton of muscles and tendons in the feet that when you stuff them into these cushiony shoes with the arch supports, you're disabling them.
Yeah.
It's like you're putting them in a cast and getting the atrophy.
Yeah.
And that's when the knees and everything start compensating. You start getting these strange little chronic injuries.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole arch support thing is. There's definitely look. I'm not going to put my tinfoil hat on, although I could. But there's definitely an incentive for doctors to be prescribing.
It's a
financial
revenue stream.
Incentive. Yeah. So, and as is typical with a lot of Western medicine.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a Band-Aid fix.
Yeah.
Here's a Band-Aid fix.
They are good for a while. They're supposed to be temporary. Mm-hmm. An arch support is like a cast for your arm. If you injure your arm, you put it in a cast, and that's good for a while.
Yeah.
But then after a while, after the thing has healed, it's time to get your arm out, strengthen it, rehabilitate it.
Yeah.
And so that's the missing piece is everyone is wearing arch supports, but they're doing it for years. It should be something that you do for weeks, maybe months at the most, to rehabilitate something. But then you need to get your foot strong again.
Yeah, and if you trained your feet properly to begin with,
right,
you might not even need them in the first place.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so just keep an open mind.
Yeah. Then we have the toes.
But why do we why are arch supports bad for the gym? Yeah. When we're trying to lift and run around and do things, if we've got arch supports in our shoes, it's going to, again, interrupt that energy flow.
Right. Yeah.
And it's going to cause problems with our alignment. Mm-hmm. And when our feet are not able to do, because arch support is basically disabling and interrupting all the movements that your feet are supposed to be able to do. And so when that's not happening, that's going to travel up the chain during your gym workout or anything you're doing, yard work, doing the dishes, whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
It is interrupting all the stuff that's supposed to be happening.
Yeah.
All the way up through your chain. So.
Yeah, it's like basically running shoes kind of take this really like advanced part of your body and just try to smush it into like one block.
Yes.
It doesn't let you use your toes. None of the weakens the muscles in your feet. It just like puts you.
Which brings us to the next problem spot.
Yeah, the toe spring.
It's called the toe spring. So a toe spring, if you're listening to this, a toe spring is that part of the front of the running shoe that kind of curves up a little bit, sort of like an elf shoe. So they developed that. Running shoe companies developed that. Their theory was that it encourages you to roll your foot forward when you run. And so that you would heel strike and then roll your foot forward. But here's the problem. When it comes to running, it's forcing you into a gait that is not necessarily natural. But when it comes to the gym, it's very serious. This toe spring is disabling your big toe. Now, why is the big toe so important in the gym?
You got to balance.
Yeah, that's where your balance is.
And obviously the transfer of power that we've been talking about.
All
of these kind of contribute to that. But the big thing, your big toe is really, really important. So, if you're listening to this and you're at home, try doing this little exercise, right? Try just doing a simple 1 foot balance.
Yeah, stand on 1 foot.
With your running shoe on.
Yeah.
Then take the running shoe off. Mm-hmm. Do the same 10 seconds while pushing your big toe into the ground. And see if you notice a difference.
Yep.
I can almost guarantee you will.
Now here's another one. Imagine a gymnast doing all the things they do wearing running shoes.
Yeah.
They can't do it.
Yeah.
Right? Gymnasts do their stuff in bare feet for a reason. Mm-hmm. They do amazing things in their bare feet.
Yeah.
So that's a telling example right there.
Yeah.
And when I was in gymnastics, they always told us to press our big toe into the ground whenever we were doing something where we needed to balance. Mm-hmm. So big toe is extremely important.
Extremely important. And not just the big toe. I mean, moving on to the next part, the toe box as a whole, that is kind of forced upon us in running shoes.
Oh, the toe box. Yeah. Do I have a narrow toe box? This one's a little narrow.
Well, most shoes have narrow toe boxes.
Yes.
More narrow than they should be.
Think of a baby's feet, right? If you can imagine a baby's feet, what is the widest part of their foot? It's
toes.
Going from their big toe to their little toe, and then it goes narrow to the heel.
Yeah.
That's how our feet would be shaped if we weren't forcing our feet into all of these modern day shoes. Now, I'm sounding a little bit granola right now. Sorry about that. But it is true.
Yeah.
It is true. You can do a thing called the insole test where you take the insole out of a shoe. If you're wondering if the toe box is big enough for you, take the insole out and then just put your foot on it and see if your toes cross over the edge of the insole. And if it does, then your shoe is imposing on your foot.
Yeah.
And it's trying to literally reshape your foot.
Yeah.
And so Mark and I have been doing an experiment since I started in, I think, July or August. I don't know when you started wearing minimal shoes.
A little bit before that.
Yeah. And we have noticed, and so it's been almost 6 months, and we've noticed our feet changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The toes are definitely spreading out. Mm-hmm. Feet are getting wider. That's because, look, the toes are the fingers of your feet.
Yes.
Right? And so what is easier? Grabbing, let's say you have gloves on, right? Mm-hmm. What is easier? You have your snow gloves on, grabbing something with snow gloves or grabbing something with mittens?
Ooh,
right?
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Because mittens, you kind of force, all those fingers are kind of forced into one thing, right?
Yeah.
What's going to allow you to do more, in terms of your fine motor skills and picking things up and stuff like that. It's kind of the same idea when you force your feet into these shoes that squish your toes together. Mm-hmm. It takes them out of the picture.
Yeah.
It takes them out of the picture, but your toes are supposed to be, spread out and wrap around. It's kind of funny. It's kind of weird to think about, but when you wear minimalist shoes for a long time, you start to notice how frequently you use your toes just for moving. So if I go hiking, right, if I'm on a trail or whatever, I'll notice my toes wrapping around, if I'm stepping on a rock, right? They wrap around the rock to provide more stability, or even just up onto a curb, right, or down from a curb. You really realize how important your toes are.
They grab the ground.
Yeah,
they do.
They're supposed to, but if you have these big, blocky, stupid running shoes on,
you
can't do it. You can't do any of that.
No, a shoe like I'm holding up a big fashion tennis shoe with a really thick sole. You can't do squat in these.
No.
You look cool. And you can walk.
Look cool.
You can walk around, but your foot really cannot do much, right? So you just have to pick up the whole foot and just plop, plop.
It's just this big block, this big cushioning block.
Two big pillows walking around.
Made worse by the stiff soles.
Oh my gosh, stiff soles. So I have all my shoes here that I've been using ever since I started working out here 4 years ago. I started out with a typical running shoe and then wisened up and got something with a more level shoe, a zero drop. Zero drop means the heel and the toe are at the same level. So you don't have a elevated heel in it. And then I finally got what's called no bulls, and these are actually pretty good. It's definitely a step up.
Yeah.
So there's a zero drop. There's no heel elevation, and there's very little cushion. Mm-hmm. So you can produce more power. But one problem is it's not quite wide enough in the toe box. Mm. That's one problem. And then what was the other? Yeah. So the toes, these are almost wide enough. I wish they made them just a little bit wider. Yeah. But they had the stiff sole. So I noticed that was the thing I noticed, that when we go on short runs during our workouts, I could not run in these. I absolutely hate running in these. Mm-hmm. So they're not a good idea for running at all. Like 400 meters at the most. Any more than that, you're just going to be miserable. So great for lifting in the gym, but terrible if you have to do any kind of running or need to be able to use your bend your foot. There's no give in this sole. So what you want is a shoe that will fold up, right? This is going to let your foot do what it was made to do. So it's just enough there. I'm holding up a minimal shoe if you're listening to this. So there's just enough there to protect the bottoms of your feet from whatever is around you. But the sole is flexible and lets your feet do what they want. So with that topic, if you're thinking about transitioning out of running shoes into something more conducive to a gym workout, take your time. You don't want to go straight to just, I see people lifting in their socks, and that's fine too. You know, just lift in your socks, but give yourself time to strengthen your feet, because they're just like the muscles and tendons in your feet are just like the rest of your body. They need time to get strong and adapt.
Yeah.
So, like I said, you and I have spent 6 months adjusting to our shoes. We did a 5K on Thanksgiving Day, and I managed to walk it in my minimal shoes, but I don't think I could have run it. I wasn't ready to run the whole thing in my minimal shoes. But so I've been able to develop. But that's my goal, to be able to do a 10K in my minimal shoes. That's my goal.
Yeah.
So
well, and a big reason for that adjustment is the change in your gait.
Yes.
Right. When you're, like we were talking about earlier, when you walk normally, it's heel to toe, right? Heel strike, roll the toe up. When you are walking or running properly, you're landing more on the midfoot.
Yeah.
Right? And you're kind of propelling yourself forward. It's not like a roll. It's like a land on the midfoot and then
spring.
Push off. Yeah.
Spring. Yeah, like a gazelle.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that takes time for your feet the muscles in your feet to adjust to. And muscles, not just your feet, your calves, everything takes time to adjust to. Like if you were, so Lynette, if I want to start wearing minimalist shoes, but I've worn running shoes and non-minimalist shoes my entire life, and I'm 40 years old. How would you suggest I start incorporating wearing minimalist shoes so that I can eventually, fully take advantage of them and wear them, pretty consistently?
I would take it in stages. First of all, I would spend 10 minutes a day in my bare feet, just walking around. If you can do it in grass, great. But if you live in an area like ours, it's probably not too practical.
Yeah.
So just, walk around your house in your bare feet for 10 minutes a day and work your way up. If you are going to the gym, do whatever you can. Maybe do your warm-up in your socks, or get a pair of shoes that's a little bit better than what you are using right now. So if you're used to working out in running shoes, get a cross-trainer shoe, or get a Noble shoe, or just think of shoes on a continuum. So on one end of the continuum, you have the big cushiony Hokas, and then on the other end, you have people, doing ultra marathons in their bare feet. You're going to be somewhere in the middle there, moving your way up the continuum.
Yeah.
So start looking for a shoe that has a zero drop, which means the heel and the toe are at the same level, and less cushion, and gradually move your way to a minimal shoe. So it might take a year or two. Be patient. Yeah. Don't rush it, because people, you see YouTube videos in there saying, oh, minimal shoes caused me these injuries. I'm like, well, you probably didn't give yourself time to adjust.
Yeah. Don't go from, never having worn minimalist shoes to wearing them 24/7.
Well, that's like saying I took my arm out of this cast, and then I went and tried to do a workout in the gym, and I hurt my arm. Well, of course you hurt your arm. You weren't ready for that.
Right.
So, consider your feet like you would if you were taking your leg out of a cast. The muscles are weak. They need time to get strong. And so gradually build up your barefoot time, and gradually change your shoes out. Maybe every 6 months, go to a shoe that has less and less support.
Yeah.
So we're going to eliminate the myth of supportive shoes.
Yes.
Your feet don't need support. They are the support.
They already
the
support. Have everything you need.
They are the support. So in the gym, you want to be able to create movement, create power, and be able to move freely left, right, forward, backwards. Mm-hmm. So when you're in a pair of running shoes, those are built for forward movement only. Mm. And that's it. It's very specific.
Yeah.
So if you go to the shoe store and it has the word running in it, you don't want those shoes.
Yeah.
Right? Probably not for running either, but that's another podcast. But for a gym workout, you want at least just get a cross trainer. That's a good start. And then you can move your way into less and less support in the shoes.
Cross trainer to like, make sure zero drop.
Yeah, zero drop, maybe a Noble, and then to the minimal shoes actually have a spectrum too. There's some that are more minimal than others.
Yeah.
And they've got some minimal shoes that are like introductory. Mm-hmm. Like they actually have a little bit of cushion in the bottom because they realize that not everyone is ready to just go with a piece of leather on the bottoms of their feet and that's it, you know.
But hey, the best minimalist shoes that we've come across, $40 on Amazon.
Yes.
They're the Amazon brand, I think. They're called Whiten.
Whiten,
yeah.
Yeah, those are my favorite.
Yeah, they're the most comfortable. They have there's like hardly any there's not any cushioning. I mean, it's just a sole with whatever fabric this is. Elasticy fabric, but it's great.
Here they are. Yeah, this is our favorite one.
Yeah.
It's great for the gym. It has a tiny, tiny bit of cushion. Just barely.
Yeah.
Barely any. But I bought this. I also tried out the Zeros. Those are really popular. The sole is a little stiffer. Mm-hmm. So running in them feels a little different than running in the Whitings, but they're more durable. They last a little longer.
Yeah, that's going to be the trade-off, right? If you have a more durable sole, it's going to naturally be, more stiff. But
you said you have felt a difference squatting in these shoes and lifting in the minimal shoes as opposed to what you used to lift in.
Oh yeah, everything. It's
everything feels different.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big parts is actually like my ankle mobility. Like I already had pretty decent ankle mobility just from working out, my whole life. But wearing the minimalist shoes improved it even further. I feel more stable throughout the entire. So like if I'm squatting, I feel just as stable at the bottom as I do at the top.
Nice.
And I think that is in large part because I'm able to anchor my toes more firmly into the ground, especially the big toe.
Yeah.
And so I'm using my entire foot to generate power, not just, my heel or like my midfoot. It's like I'm using my entire foot to generate power. But that just more control as well. So do it like lunges or step, like if we're doing step ups on a box, it's kind of cool. I can like wrap my foot around the edge. I like to like wrap my foot around things. It makes me feel like a monkey. I don't know. But I can't recommend. I mean, I wear these every day, like, unless I'm going somewhere nicer. But I can't recommend them enough. I wish everyone wore minimalist shoes and realize it's kind of like one of those things where once you wear them, like for a while, you're like, oh, this is how my feet are supposed to feel.
Yes,
it's kind of like that aha moment.
Yeah, and then you put on a pair of your old shoes. Yeah, I put on these now, and I'm like, what is this?
Right. Yeah.
What is going? Look at all the power that gets lost when you have all these weird cutouts in the bottoms of your shoes.
Yeah.
Like, that would be terrible to try and do a workout in.
Yeah.
But I've noticed when I'm wearing shoes that don't have all that cushion and stuff, my calves do not hurt anymore. It used to be if I worked all day long, stood all day long in shoes that had a lot of cushion, my shins and my calves would be really tired and sore at the end of the day. But I'm on my feet all day now with minimal shoes, and I go home, my feet are fine, my calves are fine, my knees are fine, everything's fine. And for anyone out there that thinks they need orthotics because they have knee problems, I got knee problems. So, but not as many now that I'm wearing shoes that don't, have the goofy cushions and arch supports and all the goofy, the toe spring, all the stuff we were talking about. Those are causing the knee problems. The shoes are causing plantar fasciitis. The shoes are causing all the problems that we talk about that we have. We call the problems with the Achilles tendon, all that. The shoes are a huge contributor. I know everyone says that weight is a big contributor, and it is. It is a factor when it comes to plantar fasciitis and all these other problems, but
it's not the root. It's not
no,
the root
I
cause.
think shoes are the number one thing. Got to change that.
Yeah.
Because your arches could handle the weight if they were strong enough.
Right.
And they're not going to be strong enough if you keep wearing orthotics.
Yeah.
So, and then when you want to go to the gym, that's an opportunity to strengthen your feet in addition to the rest of your body.
Yeah.
So think about that. Try and do your warm up in your gym without shoes or with minimal shoes, and then just put on the normal shoes when it's time to do something like more active, when you're doing more jumping and stuff, and work your way up to less and less supportive shoes and get those feet stronger, get your calves more flexible, start working on that. You'll feel much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, feel more agile, more energetic. Your calves and shins won't hurt at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, there's nothing these minimalist shoes can't do.
Right, because it's letting your feet do what they're made to do. They're amazing. Feet are pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Very elegantly designed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just gotta let them. What's the saying? You can't have a thoroughbred and keep it in the stables, right?
Yeah.
Like let your feet do what they're designed to do.
Right. It's hard. And one of the pushbacks I get is, well, I'm on a man-made floor all day long. And it's true. If you were having to walk around on a marble floor or a ceramic floor or something that's really super hard, you may have to get a shoe. You have to compromise and get a shoe maybe has a little more cushion than a strict minimal shoe, or throw a rug down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's fine. You may have to, but figure out something, right? Don't just have that, what they call the fixed mindset. Well, I can't do that because blank. Well, figure out a way to improve your situation some ways. Like, well, how could I make this work? How could I improve my foot strength even though I have to stand on such and such floor all day long, and figure out what you can do.
Yeah.
There's always something you can do to strengthen your feet.
Yeah, you're smart. You'll figure it out.
Right. And then
ask us if you need help.
Right. Especially in the gym, though. When you go to the gym, that's an opportunity to think, okay, what can I do for my feet today? Everyone forgets about their feet in the gym.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Well, you got anything else before we wrap this one up?
That's it. Big toe. And think about your feet as the foundation of a house. So when you're trying to do lifts in the gym or lift anything in your house, do any kind of work, if you're putting big cushions on the bottoms of your feet, that's like trying to build a house on super cushiony, slippery, muddy foundation, right? So if you think about yourself as a house, what would you want your house to be on? Mm-hmm. And then think about your shoes. Like, would you want your house to be sitting on big cushiony shoes? No, you want a strong foundation.
Yeah.
So think about that.
Cool. All right, guys. Yeah, hopefully this was helpful. We'll talk to you next time.
All right, bye.